He says that we have been splitting rent for the past 2 years, so why would we stop now? Because her dad's the landlord. Am I the asshole for refusing to split rent with my boyfriend? I, 23 female, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, 23 male, since our freshman year of college. In our last year of undergrad, we decided to rent an apartment together. We split everything 50-50, including utilities, groceries, and rent. We continued living together in the same town as our college after graduation, but recently we both got jobs in Chicago and we are currently living downtown. My dad works in real estate and he has multiple investment properties. My dad generously allowed me to live in one of his apartments rent-free, but he said that my boyfriend would have to pay him $400 a month for rent. My dad is very protective, but he has been nothing but kind to my boyfriend. My dad's reasoning for making my boyfriend pay rent is that he wants to be sure that my boyfriend is with me for me and not because he will have a free place to live. Keep in mind, if my dad was renting this apartment out to tenants, he would charge $2,100 a month for rent. Very ritzy building in the middle of downtown Chicago. Do not tell me your boyfriend expects you to be paying rent too. Oh my god, find a new boyfriend! My boyfriend is mad at me because he asked me for my half of the $400 for rent, and I explained to him that I will not be paying rent. My dad is only charging him. He says that we have been splitting rent for the past 2 years, so why would we stop now? Because her dad's the landlord. That's why. That's literally why. Simple! Our rent in our college town was $1,200 a month, so we were both paying $600. Our apartment in Chicago is significantly nicer, and he's paying $200 less a month than what he was in college. Is the idea that my dad doesn't charge me for rent, but charges my boyfriend so crazy? Should I suck it up and pay half because I can afford it? Oh, you know what it is? Your boyfriend thinks he's entitled to husband perks, to family perks, okay? You are a boyfriend, therefore you get boyfriend perks, which isn't much. If you were her husband, therefore you'd be your father-in-law's family, and he might be giving into making you not pay. But even then, it doesn't matter. It's his apartment. He literally gets to decide if his own daughter voices her daughter's boyfriend gets to pay rent. It's very simple. $400! $400 for rent in Chicago is wild in this economy. I never wanted to be a mom. I never wanted our daughter. Am I the asshole for telling my husband I never wanted our daughter after he refused to take care of her? Oh, did he pressure you into having a baby? Did you get pregnant and then you were like, oh my god, what do I do? And he's like, have the baby, we'll raise her together, and he's not pulling his weight. Is that what happened? I, 27 female, have never really wanted children. I told my husband this many times over the early years of our relationship, and once we were married, I tried my best to really stress that. He, 26 male, never seemed to mind this and always agreed that he didn't want children. This was going well until I got pregnant about a year into our marriage. I knew I did not want the baby and assumed my husband wouldn't either, but when I told him, he was excited. He ended up convincing me to go through with the pregnancy, and so I did. Flash forward to today, and our daughter Ria is 15 months old. I really do love her, but I'm exhausted. My husband works full-time and I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm with her almost 24/7. I never have a break and I do everything with her. I get up in the morning, feed her all 3 meals, play with her, bathe her, change every diaper, take her out for toddler classes, arrangement playdates, and put her down again at night. You're basically a mommy. Last night, our routine was going as usual when my husband got home. The baby had been particularly difficult that night and I was reaching my limit. I asked him if he could put her to bed that night so I could lay down. I expected him to say yes, as he hardly sees her with work and she usually is asleep by the time he gets home, but instead he snapped at me. Apparently he had a very long day and he needed to lay down. I was shocked. Literally never been so angry in my life. I went and put Ria into her crib before I responded to him. I feel horrible, but essentially what I said was that I never wanted to be a mom. I never wanted our daughter. He did. So why is it all on me to take care of her? Why can't he just make a bottle and read the baby he wanted a damn book? He was immediately furious with me. He couldn't believe what I had said, and he hasn't talked to me since. We're all human. We all go through those kind of emotions, and I think you were just really frustrated. I don't think this makes you a bad mom or a bad person because we all reach our limit and then we just blow up because we don't feel like we're being heard. He was frustrated. You were frustrated. And you're like, oh my god, fuck all this shit. I'm tired. I didn't even want this life. But I know you love her, so don't think that you're a bad mom. I think you guys just need to have a discussion and figure out some me time that you can schedule into there.
Me, 26 female, and my fiance, 28 male, have been together for 3 years. Our finances are split until after marriage, and we have equally paying jobs. He doesn't pay when we eat out, he doesn't pay for any fixes in our rental apartment, and he also doesn't help with furniture and stuff. I try to have conversations about how I'm always supposed to foot the bill for almost everything. His excuse is that he's been saving for a new apartment. Been saving up for 2 years now, but he still has half of his salary which he uses on himself and buys gadgets and gaming stuff. When I try to argue about it, he'd say it's his money after all and remind me of how he's saving up to buy an apartment for us. Days ago, he called me and asked if I'd take him to the hospital to treat his ankle. It's been hurting him for weeks now, but only now he decided to get it checked. I drove him there since he was in pain, but was surprised when he told me to pay the bill. I asked why not him, and he brought up the new apartment he's been saving for again. I had it, especially after he threatened to not add my name to the new apartment's title if I refused to help him out. I snapped and told him to pay for it himself and stop using my money with the apartment excuse that I left. He had to pay, but he was furious that I let him down in this time of struggle. Also said that my attitude wasn't partner material. I told him that I felt like he was using the new apartment to spend my money, but he said that I had no empathy or sense of responsibility to support him and help him out, when he is doing me a huge favor and buying me an entire freaking apartment. He's calling me selfish and negative. I don't know. I feel guilty for doing this now, and he's avoiding me entirely. Am I in the wrong for leaving the hospital after my fiance told me to pay the bill?
When I was a child, my parents would make me sandwiches because I was too small to make them myself. And they would always ask me, do you want a half a sandwich or a whole sandwich? And in my head, I knew that I wanted the bigger of the two sandwiches. But nobody had taught me what a half or whole sandwich was. And my vocabulary was very limited, okay? I was a very small person. And I knew I wanted the big sandwich, but I didn't know how to ask for it. I didn't know the difference between half and a whole. And so I would always guess. And a lot of the times I would end up with half a sandwich, and I would be devastated and in tears and like just so upset and so angry and frustrated because I knew what I wanted and I didn't know how to communicate my needs. But from my parents' side of things, they thought that I was communicating my needs. And so just like, I don't have children, but I was one. And I just feel like it's important to remember that when they're having meltdowns over nothing, it's probably not nothing. It's a language barrier at this point, right?
I'm 14 male. I'm American but live in Asia. I'm being vague because I don't want this traced back to me if the situation is as bad as it seems. I don't know if I should give some sort of background or anything, but up until 7 months ago, I lived with my mom, 39, and my dad, 41, plus my little sister, 9. I say was because my sister is no longer here. She's in boarding school. I want to preface this by saying that we're not bad kids. We're half white, half Asian. When my grandpa, on my dad's side, got sick 4 years ago and we moved here so my dad could take care of him. Me and my sister worked hard to learn the language. Despite her age, she actually caught on better than me and I was so impressed with her. The issue began with grandma. She would really look down on my sister, and I love my sister and didn't like it one bit. My mom said it's cultural and that I shouldn't make a fuss about it, but it was hard when grandma really started making it obvious. She got me clothes, games, etc., but my sis got no attention. I should mention that 4 years ago, we lived with grandpa and grandma. In that time of me getting spoiled, my sister got reprimanded for everything she did. I swear, it was super unfair, you wouldn't believe. Now, just under a year ago, my grandpa passed and my parents decided that we stay here since I already speak and read fluently. Grandma spoke to everyone about how rude and unladylike my sister is, and my parents went along with it when I completely think that that's wrong. 7 months ago, her and grandma went out and my parents said that she'd be at boarding school for the summer. Just for the summer. After 3 months, I got anxious and asked when she'd be back, and I ended up crying at the question. I was talking to my dad, and he said that she loved boarding school so much that she didn't want to come back yet. Like, is that how boarding school works? I don't think so. Maybe I've been watching too much TV or reading too much Reddit, but we're in another country, and I swear what they're doing was emotional abuse. Still, it gets worse. After 5 months, I still hadn't gotten any contact. No message, no letters, nothing. And that's when my dad started making her room into his office space. We actually got into a big fight over it and I ended up with more chores. But he never answered why he was doing it if she'd be back soon. Anyway, it's now been 7 months since the car trip that took my sister away and the final nail in the coffin hit. I was looking through the attic for my mom and found a box with some of her old stuff, including her phone. Why wouldn't she have her phone? I really just want to know if there's anything I can do. No one will tell me which boarding school she's at. I'm told not to worry about it because I'm a child. When I think about it, I can't stop remembering the way that my mom cried that day. I've been imagining the worst and I'd hate it if it ended up being something along my mind. Part 2. My 9-year-old sister was sent to boarding school but never came back. This is what I finally ended up doing. I was able to get in touch with a few different sources, the least favorite of which was a phone call towards those that help find trafficked children. I knew my family would be investigated and actually went to meet up with another family in that time. So basically, someone close to my age, who I'll keep private, met with me and she had already showed my story to her family. They ended up letting me stay with them for a bit and made the proper calls to make sure it wasn't illegal. I actually even specified that I wasn't running from home and that I'd come back after the investigation. It didn't sit so well with the authorities and I was actually forced to go back home, but it only got stranger from there. I went back home to a completely empty house. Even grandma was gone, so I was allowed to stay with the other family for the time being. They were extremely kind. For a week I didn't get any news and bless her mother's heart, but I was told that I had a home here no matter what the results. So a few days after a week had passed, I get a call and it turns out that they found my sister. My family had been taken in for questioning and were placed in holding for quite a while. I'm not sure why they didn't tell me this immediately though. I don't actually know the full story, but my sister was living close to 700 kilometers away. Yeah, nearly a whole day's drive. It wasn't summer school or boarding school or anything like that. My dad sold her to get married. My mom was off the hook as 1, I still needed a parent, and 2, she wasn't in on it until it was a decent way in. My dad and grandma have been arrested though, and I'm living back with my mom and my sister now. I'm still in contact with the people that let me stay with them, and I'll forever be grateful. I have no idea what would have happened if I was around when the authorities came knocking. She's my angel. On a more depressing note, my sister doesn't speak much, but she seemed to cheer up after I let her read the post. She said that she felt abandoned and alone, among other things, but seeing how I and plenty of strangers gave their hearts for her made her happy and so thankful. Sorry for being so vague on here, but I'm trying to protect identities. This isn't over by a long shot. There are still things that are going to happen, but I have my sister, and that's all thanks to you guys.
I got out of my car to go into a store and this bird started screaming at me and I realized that I'd parked next to one of those like decorative trees, I can speak, I know words, decorative trees in a parking lot. There was a nest in it and there were a bunch of baby birds. You could hear them. So I ran away so as not to agitate the mother. But then when I came back, I wasn't playing games because the mother bird had perched on a bush right next to my car door, and probably I should have just gotten in the other side of the car. But instead I walked up to it with my water bottle like this, and I was like, hey bird, I don't want to fight, bird. I just want to get into my car. I don't want to fight. Hey bird. And then I realized there was a lady parked right next to me, halfway in her car, just staring at me. And I don't know if she was judging me because I was scared of a bird, or B, talking to said bird, or C, if I looked like I was actually ready to whack a bird with my water bottle.